and welcome to another episode of FooBar. Today we are going to talk about CDK version 2. AWS CDK is the cloud development kit, and it allows you to define your AWS resources as code. And what that means? Well, instead of using languages like YAML or JSON that basically they allow you to describe the resources that you're going to have, you can use real programming languages like JavaScript, TypeScript, Python, Go, C#, and Java to define your resources using those languages and the benefits that those languages provide. I have made a whole introduction to CDK, so I'll leave you the link in the description box. But CDK has been quite a long time around, and in December 2021, in the AWS reinvent conference, AWS announced the version 2 of the framework. And in this video, I want to talk about the main difference. So this video is divided into 3 parts. The first one is just going over all the main difference between version 1 and version 2, the ones that are important. Then the second one is that we are going to create a new project with the version 2. And the third part is to migrate an existing application to version 2. So let's get started. When we talk about the main difference, I will say that the main difference is the way that the libraries are consolidated. So if you use the CDK version 1, you will know that every time you want to use a new AWS service, you need to import that library. So you have a library for Lambda, a library for API Gateway, a Lambda library for, Dynamo, and so on and so forth. And then when the version update, then you need to go and update each of the libraries, and it was a pain of playing with the different dependencies. Now we have one unified library for all these level 1 constructors. Level 1 constructors are these kind of constructors that are resembling to the CloudFormation resources, so Lambda, Dynamo, and so on and so forth. And they are all inside the AWS CDK live, so everything lives all together. I will show you more in the demo. Now we have the ability to import individually experimental modules like level 2 and level 3 constructors, and we can import them as independent packages. So these are marked as alpha, and whenever they get into the AWS CDK library, they are getting there and they remove the alpha. So that's great. If you want to try new features, then you can do it like that. Then the construct library has been extracted out from the CDK library into a separate one. So if you're building your own construct, you need to declare this construct module as a dependency to get started. Finally, if you're using CDK 1 and now you want to start using CDK 2, you need to re-bootstrap your stack, your environment. So you need to re-bootstrap and launch the bootstrap command again in your different AWS accounts and regions that you're using to deploy your CDK applications, because that needs to be kind of refreshed using the new things. So that's something you need to remember. And one cool thing that CDK version 2 provides is the watch functionality. That now it lets you hot swap code, for example, in your Lambda function. So if you're coding, you just have the watch on and you change it, and it will change automatically in the back without reprovisioning the infrastructure. And I will show you most of this difference when we build the application. So we are going now to the console and to the code and see this in action. But before, like this video, I'm looking at you, and you people, half of the people watching this that are not subscribed or more, I don't know what you're waiting for. Every week serverless content. Amen. So let's go to the code and see this in action. So this is the second part, and we are now creating a new application with this CDK version 2. As always, I'm going to start by installing, well, not as always because this is new, we are going to install the version npm install-c AWS CDK. If you have the previous one, remove it and install the new one or update it. And then if you run CDK -- version, you should see that it says 2 point something, in my case 2.17, but this changed very fast. Now, in order to do this, you need to have node and npm installed, so have that in mind. I'm kind of starting from there. If you're using npm, yeah, kind of. Then we are going to start, as always, to create a new directory where we are going to put our new project. I'm going to build a TypeScript CDK application. So I create the directory, I get into the directory, and then I create a new CDK app. I like the CDK init app, and then you mention the language because it creates all the boilerplate that you need in order to have that application. So I always use it, and then from there I start tweaking it. So I just go there, it installing all the dependencies and creating everything that we need, and then we can open this in Visual Studio Code. But if you have not bootstrapped your environment, now is the time. CDK bootstrap your environment. You need to rebootstrap it if it's the first time you're using it. So now we can go to the Visual Studio Code, and we can see in the package.json that this has the library that is 2.17, like the version I have installed. It has the construct library that is version 10, and that's good. That's our dependencies, and we can basically go to our stack and start defining our AWS resources. If you're familiar with CDK, you know in the lib folder you define your stacks, and there you create all the different AWS resources in that stack. And then in the bin folder we have the main application. So in here we have CDK first, CDK version 2, serverless stack. We could have many stacks inside this lib library, but I will have only one for this. So I'm going to create a super simple serverless application, Dynamo Lambda API Gateway, to show you. So we create the Dynamo table, and this is exactly the same as before. You will see it in the migration now. It's exactly the same. We just need to do a different import. So how the import goes? Well, we import the particular modules from the AWS Dynamo inside the AWS CDK lib. And we will do exactly the same for Lambda. So this is a Dynamo table that is in the serverless mode. Basically, you pay as you use. It has an ID as the partition key. Nothing strange. And then it has a name, my demo table. So that's good. Then for the function, it's the same exact as before. We have a function, and then we have the runtime that is node 14. The code is in the resource folder that we need to add. And then we have the handler where it is, and then an environmental variable. So this is very familiar. The syntax doesn't change. The only thing it changed is the imports. And the import looks exactly the same. And then finally, we grant the permissions for the Lambda 2 right in that Dynamo. And then we create the API gateway. And this is a very simple Lambda integration for our API gateway. And the API gateway, again, needs to be imported individually, but it doesn't need to be imported as a package into our application. So that's super helpful. So after you finish writing all your code, you can check that your bin, your main application, is configured correctly. And if you're running a normal app, it might be. And then you can run CDK synth to make sure that your CloudFormation template is getting generated, because CDK works that you write all this in nice programming language, and then it's synthesized to CloudFormation. Yes, I know. And if something is wrong, you will notice in the CDK synth. So here it says that it cannot find this resource because, well, we forgot to put the code for the Lambda function. Details. But this is the good thing of the CDK synth. It will tell us in the CDK deploy as well. But here it's way faster. So we need to create a new folder called resources, and in there put a new file called app.js.javascript. I'm writing JavaScript and copy pasting something that I have around. And then we have this Lambda function that basically it gets the environmental variable as we will always do. And then it's basically writing a timestamp into a database and then sending a response to API gateway. So this function gets invoked through an API gateway. It saves the timestamp in the database and it sends a response 200 back. Something that we all need in our life. So now we run CDK synth again, and now it should work. It should return us a CloudFormation template. If you want to look at it, you can. but now we're sure that everything is good. CDK deploy will deploy this into the cloud. It will show you all the resources that it's going to create. You can review them and say, yes, I'm fine, let's go to the cloud. So this starts the deployment in the cloud, and I will speed this up because it takes a couple of minutes and it's not fun to watch. So after all this deploy, you can see one output there that is the endpoint for the API gateway. We can put that inside our Thunder client. If you don't know what Thunder client is, I'll leave you the link to my extensions in Visual Studio Code so you can check it out. But let's go to Thunder client. I create a new request, and there I will paste that URL because we didn't give any path. It just works. Yay, hello world. Now I will open Serverless console, another extension in Visual Studio Code. In that video you will learn more, and configure it to give me the logs and the tables for that thing that we just deployed. So good, I add the service, I can see the function, I can open the logs and I see what the logs are. Yay, it did something. And then I can open the table and I can see there is that timestamp in the table. That's awesome. So it's working. Now what we want to do is to try the CDK watch. So if I run CDK watch, and this starts like the initial deploy, but as everything is deployed, it doesn't do much. Then we go to the app.js and we kind of change something. We should see that that change triggered the CDK watch. So I will add some more exclamation marks, but nothing happens. So why? Well, it's in your CDK JSON. So if you're using JavaScript for your Lambda function, in your CDK JSON, you will find the answer. So it's excluding all the JavaScript files from the watch. So yeah, you need to fix that. So go into the watch attributes and exclude and fix that. So what I'm going to do is I will exclude all the JavaScript inside the lib and the bin, because those are the folders where the TypeScript will get like transcribed into JavaScript, and I don't care about those. But I do care about the ones inside the resources. That is where my Lambda functions live. So good. So run CDK watch again. And now we can do a change in our Lambda function code. And that should hot swap automatically. And that's what we want. So here you can see that everything is deployed and everything is good. So let's, I don't know, remove some exclamation mark, and we can see that things are starting to get published, and that's good. And then if we add more exclamation marks or my name, it gets published again. So that's good, things are happening. So now you can code and you can test in the cloud very, very fast. So that's something I'm so excited about because I keep on deploying. Then if we go again to standard client and we run this, we can see that the response is that Marcia weird thing that I just created. And if I change it back to, I don't know, 2 of those exclamation marks, it will trigger the deployment again, and we will be able to see in the response again 2 exclamation marks. So it takes a few seconds to hot swap that function, and if we go to the Lambda function in the AWS console, we will see that the code is changed. So yeah, that's super cool. Everything is done just changing the code and not redeploying the infrastructure. And this only works for few things. So I'll leave you the list in the description box of what things are. It's like Lambda functions and step functions, and I think Open API, and I don't know what else. But yeah, you have the information. And yeah, so now it's working as expected. So that's creating a new project with CDK version 2. But what if you have an existing project that you want to migrate to the version 2? Your project is in version 1 and you want to put it in version 2 because, well, you need to make it modern. So I will show you how to do that. So I will start with a project that I have already in GitHub. You can start from there, or you can start from your own projects. And there might things that might change depending on the complexity of your project. But this one is a very generic serverless project. So in your GitHub, you can go to the code I leave you in the description box. That is the initial project, the CDK Serverless Get Started. It's a very similar project like the one that we just built, so no rocket science. And then I clone it into my computer, and basically I clone it with a different name because I already have it. Serverless, I don't know, migrate, CDK version 2, as always very original. And then I get into that repo, open it with Visual Studio Code, and we will see what are the important parts to kind of have in mind when doing this. So first thing, the CDK.json, you need to remove all those flags that says AWS CDK / something. If you have many, remove them all. They all need to go. So good. Then in the package.json, you need to remove all those imports of independent libraries and import again the AWS CDK live and the construct. So that's something you can do either by npm install those, or then like I did, just switching them in the package.json. Remember also to do it in your dev dependencies. Good. Then talking about dependencies, it's time to go to your code in live and bin and update those. So let's go to the live, and then we can basically remove all the old imports and import the new things. So we can start by importing the AWS live things with constructs as well. So here we can start changing like the definition of the methods and the constructors. So we can see now that app is not app, is construct, and then CDK stack is stack, and stack props is stack, and that comes from the main library. So yeah. Then we have the CloudFormation output. If we want to preserve that one, that's as well from the CDK. If you keep the CDK thingy, then it will do it automatically for you. But I like to use these individual kind of modules, so I'm making it a little bit more complicated. but yeah, just basically removing that dynamo, or just import the whole dynamo as the exactly same name, and then you will not need to do this. So you do that for Dynamo, for Lambda, and API Gateway. There are the things that this stack has, and it makes the code cleaner and very nice and like very similar. Also, if you have in this particular project, it was asset and now it's from asset, so that's something that will fail. You need to update that. And then API Gateway as well, the same way that we did the rest. Just remove the unnecessary parts and it works. So good, everything is still red. We have one more file to change, that is the bin, and this in here is where our application is started, and we need to remove that AWS core and add the AWS live. So let's do that. Let's remove that import, and now we have the app there, and we remove that. Good. Everything is still red because we need to npm install our project. If you have this already npm installed with version 1, you need to basically remove the node modules and clean the whole thing, and then npm install. But because I have only cloned it, I have not installed it, then I can just run npm install. That will download all the dependencies into my computer and will make everything work. So after npm finish, we can basically say that this project is kind of migrated. We can see that everything has no red now underneath, so that's good. And then we can run CDK synth. So CDK synth in this case, as in the previous case, it will tell us if something is broken. So if I run CDK synth, it will tell me that everything is good. Well, it doesn't tell me, it just shows me the CloudFormation, and that's good. That's what we want. So then we can run CDK deploy. If you deploy, remember to bootstrap or rebootstrap your environment. So yes, do that. and then deploy. I already bootstrap it when I show you how to create the new application, so I didn't do it again. But if you haven't, go and do it. CDK deploys this to the cloud and show you the endpoint that then you can use, and I just show you how to do it. So that's the video for today. I hope you like it. If you do, don't forget to like it. The code of the migrated app is in the code and a GitHub link, so you can get it from there, and all the things I mentioned that are in the description box are in the description box. If they are not, just let me know in the comments, as always. Let me know if there's something else you would like to see from CDK version 2. I have more content coming on CDK, and I would like to know what are your favorite topics so I can prioritize those. And that's it for me today. I see you in another episode of FooBar. Ciao, ciao!